Okay, welcome back. While I was waiting for my computer to boot up, I went ahead and I drew a square on my paper. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. And what we're going to do today is we are going to hopefully get to this point. Okay, so here you can see in my picture, I've drawn in the door well, I've drawn in some of these boxes, and I've started adding some other details. So that's going to be our main goal. If I have a little bit of time, I would like to get into drawing in some lockers. And then maybe showing you bricks on the walls. But other than that, I think this is pretty much where we're aiming for. So I went ahead and I started with my box. I made mine a 3-inch box. Now when we go into the hallway, you may notice that that might be a little bit different. I'm also going to add, my dot, but I'm going to do it kind of at normal eye level. So it's like you're walking down the hallway. So just slightly above center, but kind of in the center of the piece. That's also going to make it easier for my lines. Now remember, in this piece, we are going to use orthogonal lines. So that's these lines here, okay? We're going to use vertical lines. That's these lines here. And then we're also going to use horizontal lines. I probably just spelled that wrong. And that's those lines there. So vertical lines straight up and down. Always make sure those are parallel to the side of your paper. Horizontal lines from left to right. Make sure those are always parallel with the top and bottom of your paper. And then the orthogonal lines always go to the dot. All right? And in this picture, we're not going to go beyond most of those lines. So I'm going to start with a couple orthogonal lines out of the corner to create the walls. So I'm going to go here and draw out. So notice, lined my ruler up with the dot, lined my ruler up with the corner, and then I drew a line. Now some people like to draw a line from the dot to the corner and then the corner to the edge of the page. That's fine if that helps you. Just make sure that you draw that very lightly. Again, lining my ruler up with the dot, going right to the corner, making sure I'm on the corner, and then drawing out to the end of the page. Dot, corner, out to the edge of the page. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I want to draw this bulkhead. Now that goes all the way around our hallway at our school. So I'm going to start by drawing a horizontal line on my back wall. Okay, so I drew a horizontal line on the back wall. It might be a little bit tall, but we'll make it work for this one. Okay? And then I'm going to line up my ruler with the dot. I'm going to line up my ruler with this corner right here of that horizontal line that I just drew. And I'm going to draw out to the edge of the page. So see? And I'm making sure to draw very lightly because these are all guidelines that I'm going to erase in the end. So again, and that's my bulkhead. That's the part above the doors, and in our school, above the doors has like a big chunk of space. Okay? All right. I need to do 2 more guidelines so that I can draw in some of the details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm just going to measure because I want to be really exact. So I'm doing a 1/2 of millimeter. Okay, or I'm sorry, 1/2 centimeter. Helps if I know my thing. And then I'm going to go from that line to my dot, and I'm going to draw a line. Okay, and then down here, I'm going to line that line up on my ruler here, or on my edge of my page, and I'm going to go 1/2 there. You can use inches if you want to use inches. It actually doesn't matter, just as long as you have an equal amount, okay? So again, here, I have to twist my paper. And it does actually matter if you do, where you do this. So this you want to be on the inside of your ceiling. I have to twist it again. Right there, okay? And then right here. Okay. Okay, so I want those all to be the same distance, and these are guidelines that are going to help us make our post. Now the reason we want those is because we want our post to pop out into the hallway a little bit. Okay, so to create those posts, we're going to work from there. So I've created these guidelines. I made sure to measure. I chose a measurement that's equal for all of them. Okay, and then now I'm going to draw in my post. So I'm going to take my ruler, and again, I'm one who always likes to line up right with the edge of my paper. So I have to lean here. You can hear all my necklaces clinking clacking. Okay, so I line right up with the edge of the paper, and then I draw a nice straight vertical line. Okay, I'm going to move my ruler over a little bit. Probably about, I don't know, a centimeter, right? And then I'm going to draw another vertical line. You can make that decision. I won't put them too close to start just as you're practicing, okay? So now we want to erase all those lines that are inside our two lines, because we don't want to see those, and that's why they're guidelines, okay? I like to always clean up the lines that got erased that shouldn't have gotten erased too, okay? So now take my ruler, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. So I'm going to come down here, and just from that bottom corner here to this edge of the wall, I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Let's slide all the way up here, and from this outside corner up until it runs into that line, I'm going to draw another horizontal line. I'm kind of covering it up so you won't see it. Hopefully, oh, my head's in the way. Here we go. So just draw there. Okay, and then I'm going to connect these. Hopefully I did it just perfectly. I'm going to connect them with a vertical line. Okay, and erase everything inside. So as long as you lined everything up, made all the measurements correct, everything should work. Okay, so here I have a post that's sticking out in my hallway. I need to create another post. Now, in my picture, this post, I'm not actually going to see this piece up here on the top, but I will see it on the bottom. So I'm going to, again, line up my ruler nice and straight, making sure that it's all equal. Checking every edge, and I'm just going to draw a nice straight line all the way down to the end of my guideline there. Now, because this is getting a little bit closer to me, I'm going to move that over a little bit wider than what I did here and draw another line. And again, down here, I'm not going to see anything. So I'm going to erase the guidelines that are here, erase the guidelines that are here, right? And then I will draw in a third line, and then I'll make that post. I'm making it a little bit wider, so probably right about here. Again, making sure that I'm nice and equal. You know what, I could just make myself easy on myself and just line it up with the edge of the page. And then erase these guidelines here. Okay? Now, it probably feels like that post is extra big to you if you're new at drawing, and that's fine. Okay, it will feel a little extra large, but as things are moving towards us and closer to us, we know they get bigger. So those kind of things are going to change. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to add in the bulkhead, and in my school, the bulkhead comes all the way out to here. So I'm going to take my ruler and just realign it with the dot. It should be there if I hadn't erased it, but because it did get erased a little bit, I'm just going to draw it like that. Now that looks a little funny because I have a line that's crossing over here. So I can actually erase some of this. So I can erase here, I can erase here, and I can erase here. So some of that was extra, not necessarily things that I needed to do, right? Because the bulkhead was going to cover it up. And just 1 second, my pencil is dying. So I'm going to shrink this down. All right, Sorry about that. My pencil, you know, these artist pencils, they like to wear down real quickly, so I had to do that. Okay, so here you can see I have my bulkhead in, I have this piece in, I have this piece in, and this piece in. The only other thing I need to do is I can see into this cubby a little bit. Okay, this is a doorway, it goes in. Now, depending on how your school is, this might actually be the door, but at my school, it's a pretty deep cubby. So what I'm going to do to create this depth is I'm going to go in, and I'm going to line up with this line that I originally had, that horizontal line, and I'm going to just draw it all the way back, just like that. And I can actually kind of erase this line too, so that was probably another wasted step that as I get better at drawing, I won't have to do. All right, and then one last thing that I'm going to do, because of how my angle is and where my dot is, I can actually see the underhead of the bulkhead, so I can draw right here as well, and I can add that in. So all of that can be. Now here I'm leaving that because we have like a little stripe on the ground that we have. It's there, whatever. And I can leave that as it is, okay? This line up here though I can erase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over. I'm going to switch my paper, sorry, perfectionist. And I'm going to show you how to, right here, add in lockers, because we lost a little bit of space, okay? All right, so we have our picture. Here you see all my little notes. And what I want to do is add in the lockers. Now our lockers, if you could see them, and if I could, I would take you out, but I can't. Our lockers, the tops go to the line, the next part of the top goes to the line, but it's not a totally flat top locker. Like you can't set books on top of there. So what happens is it's angled, and we need to play with that angles. So our lockers come down. They actually don't stick out as well. Let me check. Well, no, they do stick out as far as the post. So we can leave, or no, they don't. The post sticks out farther. I'm sorry, it takes me a couple times to think. So our lockers, they're probably right about this tall. So I'm going to say this is the top of my locker, where I have my line post, my ruler set. Here I have the dot. My ruler is on the dot. It's aligned with everything and coming from the door. Okay, I'm going to draw my lockers. So here we go. That would be the top of the locker. Now we have another part of the locker, so I'm going to move my ruler up, and what I'm going to do so you can see is I'm going to move it to this side. So I'm keeping that with the dot, and I'm going to draw on the underside of my ruler, and this is going to be the next line, like that. Okay, so that is my locker line. Now what I need to do is create the angle for the top of the lockers, because our lockers are angled. So this is actually going to go to another point in space. I like to just kind of create my own, and I do it with the ruler. So I'm just adding in a line there, and I'm going to erase this here. So kind of like that. But it looks a little funny because it's not quite right in space yet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is line my ruler up with the top of the paper, come all the way to the top, and then right here, this line that I drew, I am going to erase. So that this, and this actually will come across. No, that'll just come off. So that'll just go all the way up. Or I sometimes, again, have to think this out. Okay. So this here is how the wall goes. It actually is really weird because it doesn't play with our normal thoughts of a hallway, like it just being a rectangle. It dips in and it comes out. And so this is how our lockers fit in here. So now what I can do is I can use my ruler. I'm going to try to not set my lockers right on the same angle. And I can draw in lockers. Oh, I'm a little crooked. So I can draw in those lockers and start adding in the details of the lockers, so like the locks and stuff like that. Just like that. And that's how you do lockers. They're actually pretty easy. All this right here, we can keep that if you would like, because that's where we have our artwork hanging. So again, I'm going to line up to my dot. The bottom of the art little thing is here. Maybe cut it off because it doesn't go all the way into the corner, so like here. And then you could hang little artworks off of that, and that would be totally in proportion. And that's how you draw the hallway. I hope that that makes good sense to you and that you're able to follow along. I know that was pretty quick, but thank you.